Okay.
Hey, good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to today's Lunch and Learn. My name is Robert Schoonover. I'm an OSA here at the Home Growers Realty, licensed in Mississippi and in Tennessee.
And I'm Ashton Fisher, and I am an OSA as well, and I am licensed in Mississippi and Tennessee.
Before we get started, let's kind of chat a little bit. Let's talk.
Okay.
I know Thanksgiving is coming up. Any good plans for that?
I'm just watching this man's house, and then I'm gonna have Thanksgiving with family.
Just watching my dogs for me. Well, I'll be in Louisiana with some family visiting, and then we still have. I think we have some pies available.
Oh yeah.
So those that we've reached out to make sure you're going online to claim your pies. There's a few left, I believe.
Yep. Big old pumpkin pies.
Huge. We're looking forward to passing those out.
Yep. We look a little different.
Well, they won't see that anymore because
Oh.
they just see us. All right, so the things we're going to talk about today is we are going to talk about the market. We're going to talk about what's behind today's mortgage rate volatility. Several events coming up. I'm sure we just mentioned one of them. And update with the housing market, and we'll talk about some open houses too that we have coming up. So let's start off with our frequently asked questions.
Okay. Well, I'll ask you the first one.
Okay.
So what's the difference between a fixed rate and an adjustable rate mortgage?
An ARM.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so a fixed rate and an adjustable rate, it is in the name. Fixed rate is one that I would highly suggest you getting. Your rate is set, it won't move. You know what it is for the next 37 years. Adjustable rate mortgage is adjustable, and depending on how it's written, it'll adjust at certain times. So that's really what got us into trouble back in 2008 with all the adjustables there. So if you can get a fixed, you know your interest rate, it's not going to change, do it. There are sometimes advantages to get the adjustable because you know it can change, maybe for the better. But myself personally, I like a fixed rate because I just like to know what it is.
So it doesn't change over time?
Correct. It will be for the whole time you have that mortgage, unless you refinance, and then it'll be that rate that you get there. And adjustable obviously can move.
Well, how much of a down payment do I need for a mortgage? Which that's a good subject.
That is a really good subject. So we can't say a specific amount because it's just going to depend on what house you're buying and your scenarios and everything. But sorry, I'm thinking of closing costs here. Right? A lot of things going on in my mind. Down payment is going to change on what type of loan you get. And there used to be a standard you had to have 20%. It's not like that. You can, the more you put down, the less you're borrowing.
Yeah.
But they can go down as low as 3%. VAs have 0%. And like I mentioned, there's an incentive to putting more down, but it's not necessarily required. So it just depends on what kind of loan you're going to get. So get with us. We get a game plan going, figure out what loan type is better for you. And we'll get you some lenders too.
Because a good thing, a lot of those loans do have down payment assistance. So we could actually get you no down payment.
That's right. Even though the loan has required down payment, there's assistance that you might qualify for.
So we have lenders, so message us.
That's right.
What is my pre-approval process and why is it important?
It is very important. It's probably the most important part. It's the beginning. You're going to get all the prerequisites done. You don't want to go look at a house and then fall in love with it and then find out you can't even afford it.
Yeah.
So we always suggest you get the pre-approval. That way you know what range you're comfortable paying and that you can afford. The process is getting with your lender, giving them the required documents. The more documents you have up ahead of time, the easier, smoother it's going to be. You don't want to be trying to find bank statements and all that later down the road when you're a day from closing kind of thing. So that's why the pre-approval process is important. And the more your lender is asking for, it might seem frustrating, but it's better in the long run.
Yeah, it can be stressful, but basically a pre-approval is a lender giving you a certain amount of money and telling you can afford this size of a house.
That's right.
Or this price of a house. So that's why it's so important, because we really can't even go look at houses if we don't know you can't afford it.
That's right. You might not have, 300,000 in your pocket, but if you have that pre-approval, it's like you have a little banker guy with a bunch of money saying that you're good for it.
Yep.
I just got a note from my producer. I need to smile more, so I'm gonna.
So we're smiling. So what are the current mortgage interest rates and how do they affect my monthly payments?
Well, we have seen them go up. They're in the 7s right now. They're changing all the time.
Yeah, but that's still around national average of 30-year. We just aren't at that 3 and 2 during COVID.
Right. We're not going to see, or most likely we're not going to see that ever again. But if on a broad scope of things, 7 is not that bad.
Yeah.
And if you get it now and you refinance later when it's gone down, you have the house and now you have a better rate. And if it's gone up, you're laughing at everybody else because now they're complaining about 8 and 9s and you got that 7.
And if interest rates seem too high for you right now, we do have options to get you a lower interest rate, such as new construction. A lot of people don't even know. They are at a 4.99 for a lot of new constructions. So that's about 2 points off right there.
Yes, and you can afford more house at a lower percentage.
Yeah, so lower the interest, the lower the payment would be.
That's right.
What are the total closing costs for a mortgage and how do I budget them?
Well, I almost was going to answer that other question in my head. So closing costs are going to essentially be everyone who wants to get paid, your lender fees, your title company, your taxes, so your property taxes, the city and the state want to get their money. Anyone who wants to get money for that transaction, that's in the closing costs. Commissions are in there. Homeowners insurance, just all that.
Escrow. Yeah, and it's usually about 10% of the purchase price, typically. But what we're finding right now is we've been finding different ways to save you money on your closing costs and negotiating that for you.
Yeah, many sellers are contributing towards that.
Yep. So how does inflation affect mortgage interest rates, Robert?
That can be answered in a long stream. So with the rates, the rates directly or follow the 10-year Treasury closer than what the rates you hear about everyone talking about. But when rates go down, there's more spending, which is good, but that ends up causing inflation. Inflation just causes your dollar to mean less. That's why a dollar, way back in the day could buy a house, not really a house, but you're saying, but now I can just buy a hot dog. And that's inflation. Now that was a kind of extreme and pushed a little too far, but that's what inflation causes. So they try to battle that by raising the rates and everything with banking, and then the 10-year Treasury is affected in one of its components. The 10-year Treasury has a bunch of components that cause it to fluctuate. Inflation is one of them.
And that does affect home prices, and that can limit your purchasing power. But that's where we, like I said, come in to help you figure out how we can expand your purchasing power. Should I buy a home now, or will waiting help me avoid higher prices due to inflation?
Due to inflation. So if you look at the history of houses, we'll go back, 80s, 90s. The price of that house is one thing, and then if that same house is worth more, and that's just a natural progression of things with inflation and everything. So yes, buy it now. Don't wait, down the line.
Because the
don't
price
be in
is going to
2024
increase.
wishing you bought a house, years and years before. And the small increase, just like in the stock market, you'll see up and downs. But if you take a step back at the whole thing, more than likely it's up and down, but in upwards motion.
Okay. So how does inflation impact down payment savings? Which this is kind of still.
Yeah, it's all in inflation. So with inflation rising, your dollar's meaningless. People are struggling to afford groceries, and it could be hard, to save money for down payment. And we did mention earlier that there are down payment assistance, and also if you could just make be smarter with your money.
Yeah.
You may not have to or be able to go to Starbucks, every day. It's just the small things can add up.
You gotta stop getting your hair cut.
Stuff. I mean, cut
Save
your own
some
hair. I
money.
mean, it's not. Doesn't have to be too drastic, but the smallest things can add up through time. Um, and then the longer you're making these changes, the more you can save if you're doing it at a time.
Mhm. And inflation, it does affect the value of your mortgage. The longer you stay in the house, like we said, the price is going to increase. So if you sell it in 2 years or however many years, for the capital gain will be tax free, and now you're making more money on your home.
It's a natural
Yeah.
equity when in everything the prices are going up. It's worth more,
Yeah.
and you're paying it down, so it's almost like a double. You're paying it down, and it's worth more.
So should I sell my home now or wait for inflation to settle down?
No, I mean, I think you should sell. One, we don't have that big an inventory, and I would hate for it to there to be in inventory, and then it could drive your its worth down. So that is one issue that you may see. Um, no, what the future is unknown, really. So what we know now, we should just go off of what
Yeah,
it is now.
yeah.
We can
We don't know the
come back,
future.
right?
So like we said, is now a good time to buy? Yes, it's better to buy now because like we said, it's going to increase. And then in the future, you're going to have a lot more buyers trying to come in. So that's going to increase competition, which is going to increase the price. So get in now while there's not a lot of competition, and then refinance if rates drop.
Well said. Perfect.
Is now a good time to sell?
It is with the low inventory and everything. We're in a natural slow because of it's getting winter. Not many people want to look at houses. So in the sell side, now is a good time to get rooted in and everything. Especially if you're in the 200 to 300
Yeah.
range. The renters,
That's what they can afford.
that's essentially the sweet spot of what they normally can afford is the 200 to 300. That's what equates to a mortgage.
Yeah.
In most of the renters that we have out there.
And then another thing, so around this time, this is called transfer season. So the people who are wanting, the people that have to buy, they have to buy. So this is a good little spot to get to sell your home, and people who are transferring jobs, they'll be able to purchase it.
That's right. The buyers are more serious right now. In the summertime, it's nice, it's fun. Let's just go look at some houses. So there's a lot of that. And then the buyers like that aren't out right now because
Yeah.
it's cold and it's not fun. So the buyers out there right now are serious.
They're more motivated.
Yes, more
Yeah.
motivated.
So what's behind today's mortgage rate volatility?
Volatility. Market's reaction to the election. The primary reason interest rates have been on the rise pertains to uncertainty around the presidential election. We didn't know which way it was going to go. Although the election is not complete, there continue to be growing concerns over budget deficits. Just because we have an individual elected doesn't mean changes are instant. So there's still concerns out there. Either way you look at things.
Okay, what's behind the economy and the Federal Reserve? Inflation and unemployment are two other big drivers of mortgage rates. The Fed has been working to bring inflation under control and has been closely monitoring the economy as they do. And as long as inflation continues to moderate and the job market shows signs of maximum employment, the Fed will continue its plan to cut the federal fund rate. So basically, they plan to cut the federal fund rate. What to expect in these upcoming months?
Today's economic indicators come with mixed pressures on mortgage rates, and we're likely to be in it for a good amount of volatility. As markets adjust, like you said, the shift and respond to the election. It takes time, so just be ready for it.
Yeah, because everybody that was waiting for the election or the new year, so now there's probably going to be a lot of competition. But like we said, we only know the now, not really the future.
There's expected to be a flood of those individuals that are waiting, but that's going to be when it's nice out. So beat that.
Yeah, you're not going to be able to get the deals if you
Yes.
have 5 people wanting to buy the same house you want.
That's right.
So like Robert kind of mentioned this a little bit. Inventory is very low. In Mississippi, we are just about 1,000 or 1,500 homes on the market.
I think we're around there.
Yeah, and then Tennessee, do you
It's
know?
3,000.
Nah, it was like almost to 4,000, I think.
Oh, the high, it was 38, something like that.
Yeah, something like that. But it's very low, so there's not a lot of homes on the market. There's about 3 buyers per one home. So you're going to get multiple buyers looking at your house. And there has been a slight uptick in inventory.
Yes, just because, with that low inventory, you have 2 houses come on the market, and then there's your uptick.
Yeah. Doesn't take much to up it.
No.
And then we talked about new construction.
Yes, you did.
Yep.
So all the different builders have their own incentives. So get with us, and we can sit down and get a game plan on which one might benefit you the most.
Yep, because this is a new build, a new home at the price of similar homes because it has a lower interest rate.
That's right.
So you could get in that. Open houses.
I think we have a few coming up. They're great. You host them a lot. It's a good opportunity for buyers to come in, less stress. They don't have to be committed. They just can take a look at the house. For sellers, it lets them get some exposure. So
yeah, it's a good way because when you look at pictures, you cannot tell if the house is smaller, bigger. So the pictures may not have done it justice. So you want to allow open houses just for the community to come by. Your neighbor, funny enough, neighbors are the ones that typically help sell the house because they want a good neighbor next to them.
Yep.
So it's just a good way to market your home. And then we have a bunch, actually. We have one in Bartlett this weekend, and Maya's going to be hosting that one. This is a very nice home. It's all renovated. I can't remember if it's a 4-bed, but it's really nice in Bartlett, and that's a hot area right now, 2 to 4. And there are other open houses. I have one in Olive Branch this weekend. It's Saturday, 2 o'clock to 4 o'clock. It's 8310 Regal Bend. It's in Olive Branch. It's 3-bed, 2-bath, 2 to 4. Come out and see me. This one's gonna be a hot home. It's really nice. And then Sunday I have another one. It is in Memphis. It is. Hold on, let me get the address. I don't know if I'm supposed to be on my phone.
No, that's okay. Yeah, we're just here having lunch with our friends here and talking about real estate.
Yep. So this one is Sunday. This is going to be 7743 Meadowvale Drive. And this is 2 to 4. And that is going to be this Sunday.
Also, I believe Melissa is doing one. I don't have the address. So what you can do is go to our Facebook. We have a bunch listed there. Because I believe there are a few more. We just don't have.
Yeah, there's a bunch of open houses.
I wanted to talk about rates, and we kind of skipped over it, and our producers. So I do want to kind of talk about before we leave how rates, because we talked about it a little bit, can change your payments, because that is something that a lot of people are worried about.
A lot of people are worried.
So we'll just go with a $252,000 house. Now this is just your principal and interest. Your payments are going to be principal, interest, taxes, insurance, PITI, but this is just principal and interest. With a $252,000 house at let's do 5%, you're looking at a $1,470. If it jumps to a 6%, it jumps up to $1,634, so another $200 just on 1%. And then at 7, you're seeing $1,805, so a little less than $200 there.
So put it down to 4.99.
4.99. Well, that essentially is a 5, but let's do this. Actually, I'll go 4. I'm just using a little calculator that we have here. So 499 is out of 252 is 1,300. So if you were to do that same payment, it was at 1,800 for a 250 at 7% was 1,800. So to bring that at a 4% at 1,800, you're looking at a 336-ish. So another
So that's a big difference
another
in house.
$80,000 in the house just by your interest rate going down and getting that new
Mhm.
bill with that 4.9.
Yeah,
That's
so
a
interest
huge
rates are
difference.
very.
Very important. But especially, we know what it is now. We can't tell the future. Um, get it. 7% in the overall
Mhm.
scheme of things is not bad. It truly isn't.
Mhm.
Just take a look at the numbers out there, and then what you're waiting for. If you're waiting for it to get better, like I said, refinance.
Yeah, because what happens if it gets higher?
And then you're just going to keep waiting and waiting and waiting. And then meanwhile, you're losing out on the equity. Prices are
Mhm.
going up. Groceries are going up. And it's just hard for everybody.
Yeah. So take advantage of this opportunity now, and then we will help you get those steps along the way. So message us, and we can get that figured out for you.
Thanks for stopping by and watching us.
Yep. Talk.
Yeah, just talking about real estate. We're glad to be here.
Glad to be here.
I don't know if our producer is going to turn us off now.
Well, I don't think he's here.